Welcome to our next session of Family Links tonight. We are so lucky to be able to join this panel of our self-advocates who want to share their experience about transitioning to adulthood and what that was like. So we are excited to have you join us tonight. And we just wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping, first of all. So I wanted to launch this poll. We would love to share with our funders, all of the people that have participated in this conference. And so I'm going to launch this poll right now. And if you'll just take a minute and fill this out before we get started, that would be great. And just answer what you feel comfortable in sharing. While you're filling that out, I'll let you know that I'm Jenny Dopp, and I am a project coordinator with the Utah Parent Center. So I work on Transition University and creating curriculum that helps people understand the process and some of the resources and tools they can utilize as they're transitioning to adulthood. And then we also have Sarah Olson here. I'll let Sarah introduce herself.
I am Sarah Olson, and I am the transition specialist. I work real closely with Jenny in providing curriculum and classes and things like that for the kiddos that are transitioning into adulthood. And to both Jenny and I have children that have disabilities, and that's what makes us a Utah Parent Center a little unique, is that we have walked the walk and we can talk the talk. So we're grateful for you guys to be here, for being here, and grateful to our young adults that are here giving us their Wednesday night to share their wisdom with us.
Yes, and if you'll just continue, if you just joined, and let me just admit Sarah here. If you're just joining us, if you'll please answer the demographic survey that's on your screen. And while you're still answering those questions, we wanted to introduce our panel. So Molly, could you introduce yourself? And then after Molly, Jerem.
Hello, my name is Molly. I'm 18. I used to go to Granger High School, and I really like drawing. I just recently got back into drawing. I forgot how fun it was. And I also really like listening to music and like poetry and stuff like that. And I work at this place called Camp Bow Wow, and it's a doggy daycare and boarding facility. And I love working there. I get to see like upwards of like 100 dogs sometimes. So yeah, that's pretty fun.
Jerem.
Hello, my name is Jerem Oliphant. I also attended Granger High School. I am 22 years old, and I work at UPS at the moment. But I'm also a musician, and I'm hoping to make that into a career pretty soon here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jerem. Dallin.
Okay, I'm Dallin. I'm 26. Sorry, that it's been a long day. I graduated high school in 2015. Haven't had any further schooling. I went to a couple different high schools just over the course of the years. I like working. I like just hanging out with the family, being outside, working with cars, stuff like that. I just quit my job of being an assistant manager for 2 years and went to go work for Murdoch Ford as their lot technician and inventory specialist. It was time for a change.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Dallin. Okay, and last but not least, Porter James.
So I'm, of course, Porter. I'm 20 years old. I'm working at Deseret Manufacturing started last month.
Perfect. And what do you do there? What is Deseret Manufacturing?
I work on mattresses.
Nice. Okay. Well, I will be monitoring the chat tonight while we're having this conference, and I'll try to answer any questions that you have, and then we'll save the questions for the participants towards the end. We're limited on time. We just have an hour tonight, so we'll try to be efficient. If you want to stick around till the end, we'll be drawing for prizes at the end. We have an Amazon gift card and a copy of Being Human by Judy Human. So we're excited to share those prizes with you tonight as the participants. And then just a reminder that we have additional sessions tomorrow evening. We'll be talking about Medicaid waivers and how to make the most out of your waivers and working with DSPD, and also understanding the settings rule. And then there's some other sessions going on tomorrow too. So if you want to register for those, just go to utahparentcenter.org and click on events, and then you can find our registration link, and I'll put that in the chat as well. So we will turn the time over to Sarah to get us started.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you guys for being here. How this is going to work is there is a set of questions that each one of these individuals have had and have read through. So I'm going to ask the questions, and then we'll answer them in the same order that you guys introduced yourselves. So we'll go Molly, Jerem, Dallin, and Porter. So the first question is, what challenges have you faced as a student with a disability?
I would say one of my my biggest like, I guess something that really like would upset me the most when it happened was when I was sort of treated like I was dumb, or like like people would, it was either I was too stupid to do anything on my own, but as soon as I like figured out how to do something, everyone assumed that like, oh, I didn't need any of my accommodations anymore, because I was able to do that one thing, so obviously I must be able to do everything else. And that was really frustrating, because it's like, well, just because I am, I have strong points in some areas, even in like maybe the same subject, because there are parts of math that I'm really good at, but the rest of it is just jumbled numbers, but, like I still need help sometimes. And then when I would ask for that help, it was like, but you were doing so good. And it's like, well, yeah, but I still have a disability. that was something that has always really bothered me.
That is hard. Absolutely. All right, Jerem, your turn.
I'd say fairly similar to her, but I think one of the other issues that I've had was it would shock people when I asked for help, because I didn't need a lot of it. Like I'd be able to do a lot of really complex things very, very quickly. But then sometimes there was a question on a test or an assignment that just was worded in a way that I just didn't understand. And then it would weird my teachers out when I asked, like what does this mean? Because it was so simple, or it seemed so simple, and I was able to do all this other stuff, and then all of a sudden there was that. But also when I was younger, I had a lot of behavior issues, and that really delayed a lot of my progress, especially throughout elementary school. And because of the behavior issues, it was more it was more about punishment rather than figuring out what was going on, why I was having such a hard time. But so I would say those are the two biggest challenges that I had throughout my schooling.
Sounding pretty similar. All right, Dallin.
All right. It's been a while since I've been in school, but I know a lot of the challenges that I face, kind of pinging off of what Jerem said. There'll be questions that are written a certain way or put in a certain way that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I had to ask for help with that too. That was just more of not being able to understand, like, I guess it's hard to explain. The language, I guess, that they wrote it out in was hard to understand for someone my age with the disability that I have. A lot of things that I had a hard time with in school was keeping up on homework and procrastinating on assignments. That was a big one. She knows. There was a lot of that. I To this day, I don't know how I graduated, but I did, and I have a diploma. So that's all that matters to me.
Awesome. All right, Mr. Porter.
For me, I would probably say definitely almost like the same thing. It was like with school. Uh, Basically with I always had a hard time with math. I still do. That's I'm not very good at math, and with some places they would like with disabilities, you they would think that you weren't able to do like a forklift, but with my disability, I was able to do that through my service mission.
Thank you, Porter. Thank you, you guys. Yeah, that seems like there's a lot of similarities with disabilities and learning in school. So that's you guys aren't alone.
Well, good.
Okay. Next question. What supports were the most helpful to you while you were in school, Molly?
I would say probably I only got these supports in like my last year of school, um, but because there were other things going on. But honestly, kind of having like a place for me to be able to go, um, where I could feel safe, because I've always never really felt safe or okay in like school environments, and I've always had kind of like this um, sort of resentment towards the adults around me. Um, and so if I could find a place where I did feel safe, and that, everybody was kind of okay with me being there, um, that was really helpful, because I had a lot of breakdowns, or even like I would have panic attacks, and there was nowhere I could really go, and then I would get in trouble, because they're like, you're not where you're supposed to be, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. um yeah, just kind of having a place to go where I felt safe, basically.
That's awesome. Wonderful. All right, Jerem, what about you?
Um, I'd say one of the biggest helps that I've gotten, um, starting all the way back in elementary school, all the way through high school, was getting a little bit more time on certain assignments and especially on tests. Um, because I think I think part of what they want to do is not just test your knowledge, but test how fast you can show that you have that knowledge. But like like especially when I came across a question that didn't make sense to me, I'd have to think through it. I'd have to look at it different ways, and it would eat up time that I would be taking. And what would end up happening is I wouldn't finish the assignment or the test, and I would get a really low grade on it. But if I like, so sometimes it wasn't even a whole lot more time that I needed. Sometimes just 5 extra minutes, and it it helped a ton. Where I was getting 50% on tests, I would now get 90, 100%, just because I had a little bit more time to think through what was happening in the question. It wasn't because I didn't know the material. I just needed more time to show that I did.
Yep. Testing is stressful on anybody. So, you know, those of us that struggle with processing things and stuff like that, it can be a little rougher too. So yeah, that's awesome. All right, Dallin, what supports were most helpful to you?
Having breaks in class. That and sorry guys. That and being able to go to a different place, like a different part of the school, a quieter area to take tests helped a ton. I didn't usually feel like I needed it, but it was nice to be able to have it if I did. And usually I was just be able to be in a secluded room by myself or with somewhere with like noise canceling headphones and I could tune everything out too. Those helped a ton.
Yep. All right, Porter, what about you?
I would say still like in this school a little bit. I did the online school through the Utah Virtual Academy, and it was nice because they would let you work at your own pace. And I always had a hard time staying on task usually when it was more like in person. And I learned a lot better and I graduated. And so
Awesome. Yep. All different ways and all different types of support. So that's great. Okay, our next question. Besides your family and teachers, who else supports you in your life?
I would say a lot of the friends that I made, especially like from probably my third year of high school up until I graduated, um, and my boyfriend. I feel like I was kind of I kind of ended up being friends with a lot of the like stereotypically bad kids because like bad, um, because they also shared the same sort of resentment that I talked about earlier, um, and like um, they also like they understood a lot of my mental health struggles, and so I could, go to them, and we would. It was really cool because when you get into a group kind of like that, um, like the group that like smokes and like skips class and everything, it can be really kind of weirdly beneficial because they will like literally fight for you like physically. And like I've had friends that are like, I'm like, this person, made me sad. And they're like, do you want me to go beat them up? And I'm like, no, but thanks. Like, it's nice to know that you care that much about me. And my boyfriend just helps me with like more of the little things, like helping me remember to take my medicine and eat and all those things. So yeah.
That's great. Thank you. What about you, Jerem?
Well, I I am a big introvert, so it was always very, very difficult for me to make friends. But when I was in, oh man, sixth grade, fifth or sixth grade, um,
I was 7.
there was I met my best friend during that time, and uh, that has been one of the biggest helps to me. Just because there was someone that I could trust, that I could count on. Um, even if even if I didn't really need help, it was always good to know that there was somebody there that that was going to be there no matter what. And I think having even if it's just one friend, having someone like that is very important.
And all it takes is one, huh? We don't have to have
Mhm.
a million friends. Um, we just need that one special one. That's awesome,
Yeah.
Jerem. Thank you for sharing. Dallin, what besides your family and teachers, who else supports you in your life?
So I'm in a program called Northeastern Services. It's kind of like Chrysalis. Um, there's a few differences. They help me basically with financing and budgeting, medical appointments, stuff like that. They can do anything from that to like basically taking care of and doing everything for you. It's a wide spectrum.
No, talk about Northeastern Services and how they can help you.
Sorry, it's been a very long day and a very hard couple of weeks. Um,
Who else supports you, bud?
I go through DSPD as well. They basically um, give me extra funding if I need it and when I need it. I don't get SSI because I make so much money at work. Um, it's I don't know how much I get. It's a very, very small amount, but it's nice to be able to have that DSPD funding too, in case something does come up to where I don't have the money for something.
The DSPD is, I'm just going to kind of interject here a little bit. DSPD doesn't really do funding. They do supports. So they do it. It does take money to support, absolutely. But Dallin doesn't get the cash value. He gets the support value with that. So, and he has also gone from being solely dependent on Northeastern services and DSPD services to becoming extremely very independent in his own right, and is learning those skills on his own, or with those supports. He's been learning those skills. So Porter, what about you? What supports do you have besides your family and your teachers?
I would say like sometimes coworkers, like the supervisor that I'm over at with the mattress department. He is really understanding with other people that have usually would have a hard time and try to work around that. And like right now, trying to work on my speed, but he understands it takes a little time to get work on speed, and it also varies on what materials we have ready to go.
That's awesome. I love the wide range of support that you guys have, from friends and coworkers and outside resources. So that's pretty awesome. All right, our next question is, hold on just a minute. Okay, so the next question we have is, talk about how you developed self-advocacy skills. Molly?
Um, it it definitely took a while. Um, but I think part of kind of like my mom has always been very like open and um, almost like, I don't know what the word is, almost aggressive with like her support for her kids, and kind of like watching that, and also working with my therapist and everything has sort of helped me to transition from having my mom be that person that always is like advocating for me, to me being like, okay, this is what I need. This is, these are my frustrations with whatever, like in an IEP meeting. And I'm still kind of working on it. It can be hard, especially when you have like anxiety and things like that. But I definitely have gotten better at that.
Good job. And I know your mom, and I don't know if she would be aggressive. She's just excited.
Yeah, I didn't think that was quite the right word, but it was
I
the only
know.
word I could think of.
I'm just teasing, yeah, because I know your mom. Yep, she is very passionate. How's that word?
Yeah,
She's very
that's
passionate.
the
That's a
word.
good word.
Yeah.
Yes, because I'm also that passionate and helping support my children. So, all right, Jerem, go ahead.
Um, I think there was a few different things that really played into how I was able to develop these skills. Um, one thing I really struggled with when I was a lot younger was it just felt like everyone was against me somehow. Even if it wasn't true, it was, like a comment made from another student would just grind on my nerves. If a teacher did something that I perceived as towards me, it was it would upset me greatly. Um, but when I was in therapy, one thing that I really learned was, to have what do they call it, a duck's back, because a duck has greasy feathers, so when they come out of the water beads and rolls off. And so I it there that was kind of the start of a perspective change for me, that it, it first of all, that stuff I was perceiving was incorrect in the first place. No one's against me, but even if someone was, it wasn't my problem. It wasn't about me. And so that was the first major perspective shift that I had. And then when I was in seventh grade is when I actually first started getting into music. And one thing one of the biggest reasons why that helped was because there was now a goal in a classroom for that was tailored for me, basically, in the sense that um, in a way, it was there was something that I was really good at that was part of school, that was part of something that I was actually doing in my daily life. And like I was always reading books and everything about, like, I was really big into spiders, but when you're in sixth grade, there's not a spider conference to go to, or something like that. But with music, there was a class that was my space, my place to flourish and thrive. And because I got so good at it, it was something that I could do for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, there's some fun comments in here. Um, Sky said, I like the term aggressive support, like the chair, be aggressive, be aggressive. And Lisa says she needs to have a duck's back. We're all working on that still. So that is definitely a skill we will continue to work on. So that's great. Thanks, Jerem. Dallin, what about you? How have you developed your self-advocacy skills?
It's it's taken a very, very long time to be able to do it. It hasn't happened all at once. I've kind of just learned over the course of my life just to speak up for myself. It's definitely not easy. Being a person that doesn't like contention and doesn't like conflict and would rather resolve it beforehand. It's hard to speak up for myself because the way I see things isn't the same way other people see it. It's frustrating at times because it's it's frustrating and hard because you want them to understand your point of view, but just because you have your point of view doesn't mean that it's correct. Um, it's it's frustrating too when you're not heard. Um, when you talk up and speak up for yourself over and over again, and then nothing comes of it. Um, it's it's almost like there's no point in doing it. But I have ups and downs like that all the time. I'll have times where I'm okay with talking and speaking up for myself, and there's other times where I don't want anything to do with it. And that's just, unfortunately, that's just the way life goes. There's nothing that you can control with that. You can just control how you react to it.
Yep. It is not a skill that comes easy, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Porter, how about you? How have you developed your self-advocacy skills?
I'd say still through my parents because they've been helping me, especially with this during the service mission. And it was still a little hard, especially keeping up with gas prices and how they were helping me as well, trying to find a job that I can work for a little bit at until I find a better place.
Awesome. That's great. Thanks, Porter. I appreciate that comment, or those comments. All right, so the next question. What do you wish other people knew or understood about preparing for adulthood when you have a disability?
I kind of wish more people understood that not everybody can just be an adult the same way that like other people can. Um, like there are some people, um, are they have such like high needs for support that they need to live with their parents or a caregiver even. Like they can't live on their own, and that's, I think a lot of people tend to view that as like childlike or kind of lazy. And that really frustrates me because it's like, no, they're still an adult. They're still a person, you know, who is that age. They just need different things than you do. And, you know, it's hard preparing all of the things that you need. It can be very overwhelming. Um, like I remember, like before I turned 18, I was like, okay, I got to pay taxes now, and I have to, like, I have to get a 401k and think about my retirement, and I have to figure out how to. I don't even know how to get a bank account. I don't know what that is. Like, you know, like all these things, and I was freaking out. And my family and everybody definitely helped like ease my anxieties about that, but like it can be really, really overwhelming. Um, it's not easy for everybody.
You are right about that, Molly. And I'm sure there's lots of us on here going, I don't even know what half that stuff is. So we all become an adult at our own time, and we all view adulthood differently. So that you hit that right on the head. Good job. All right, Jerem, what do you wish other people knew or understood about you preparing to become an adult?
Um, I think one of the biggest things is that it's not something. Or let me rephrase that. It doesn't all just make sense. Like in the sense that I think a lot of people um, during their teenage years they start to think about their futures and figure all that stuff out. And um, and for a lot of people it just makes sense. Like it makes sense to just go to college and get a good job, and then like the 401k stuff that she was talking about, like just makes sense to people, but it doesn't make sense to everybody. um, so I think that there's and also that there's different ways to do it, not just in the sense that there's different speeds of development and different kinds of understanding, but um, that there's a million different pathways to go. Like not everyone's suited to go to college and have a career that from a college degree. So sometimes it makes more sense to go to a trade school, or even to just anything else. And it's difficult when people are trying to push one direction on you and it's not the direction that you want to go.
Yep, that is very true. That was awesome. All right, Dallin, what do you wish other people knew or understood about preparing for adulthood when you have a disability?
Oh, um, there's a lot of ways you can take it. Um, the one thing that I wish people understood the most is we're trying. It may not seem like it to you guys, or to other people, but we are. It may not be the way or how much you want us to try, but I promise we're trying. We're doing the best we can. It's it's different from when my mom was was becoming an adult. Things are different now. It's a lot harder for us guys to be an adult, be out on our own and pay for things, and even sometimes it's even hard to go to work. Um, but the best thing the best thing to do for it, is just kind of set your own pace. Just do what you can, and eventually people will see that you're actually trying and you're doing what you need to do. And it could take weeks, it could take months, it could take years, it could even take a couple of days. It's people don't usually notice us. Um, Having a disability, it's felt like I'm more of a nuisance a lot of times. Kind of in the way, kind of a bother. Um, and it helps to, I'm going to go on a tangent for a second, if that's okay. So, the way that I have figured out how to not let things affect you as much is like what Jaron said, let the water roll off the duck's back. I don't let things affect me anymore. Working with the public for as long as I have and just going through life, I've learned to let a lot of things go because you can't control 99% of what goes on. You can only control what you do and how you act and whatnot. But yeah, tangent over.
You're good. You're good. These are great. These are wonderful comments. Porter, what do you wish other people knew or understood about you preparing to become an adult?
I would say looking at places where to work, like the church, for example, where I'm working, like on the mattress, sometimes they don't expect perfection right away. It definitely takes time, even if you have a disability or not. You always try to do your best and hardest to try to get it done.
Exactly. Good job. Yep, those are great. And now for our final question. Okay. Is there anything else you guys would like to share about preparing for adulthood and your experience?
I honestly don't know. I've found it um both like it can be extremely um difficult at times, and then there are also times where you're just kind of like, oh, I am the best. Like I am so good at this. I know what I'm doing all the time, and then like and then suddenly you don't, and you're just like, well, this makes me a bad adult. Like I'm bad at being an adult, but there's no like correct way to be an adult, and I feel like people really want to push this way of being an adult. They're like, that's not an adult thing to do, or like whatever. Like I still watch kids shows sometimes because they're fun, and but people are like, like why are you doing that? Like that's not, and I'm like, because I don't know, like let me enjoy stuff. um yeah, I feel like people are constantly trying to push this one, like Jerem was saying earlier, like you graduate high school and then you go to college and then you get a career in that, and then you like it's like this very like they're like, we're gonna walk you through this like step by step, but it's the only way to go when there are so many different things that you could do, and it's really frustrating, like yeah, I just it's been hard to kind of say, you know what, like I'm just gonna choose the way that I'm gonna be, and like when people are like pushing you so hard to do one thing, it's hard to be like, you know what? No, I'm gonna do it my own way because that's what makes me happy and what works for me the best.
That's awesome. That's great, Molly. Thank you. Jerem, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Let's see. I think for the most part that there is a proper framework on how to be an adult. But I think what people do is they fill in that framework with all of this other extra stuff and then say, no, this is the framework, and it slowly becomes narrower and narrower because like
More restricted.
you do have to be able to eventually be somewhat independent. You have to develop your self advocacy skills. There is a basic framework for being an effective person in society. But I think I think that there are so many roles that help a society grow that everybody fits in somewhere, and we're all trying to figure out where that place is. And so, some of us know, like I think I've known since I was 13 that I wanted to be a musician, um, and but it's hard to figure out how to do that because okay, well I've chosen this path or at least this framework, but there's a million different ways to do it, and there's one way that's pushed. Like okay, well you're gonna practice every day, and then you're going to audition to a good college like Juilliard or Berkeley, and then from there you're going to get into the biggest orchestras in the world. Well, I want to be a composer, so I don't really necessarily want to be playing in an orchestra. It's like, okay, well, then you got to go to college and then you have to apply to Hollywood. Like, well, what if I don't want to write film scores? Okay, well, then go to Nintendo. What if I don't want to write video games? Like, there's all kinds of pathways to go, and I think there's a way to fit in that way, but like sometimes you have to blaze your own path in that way.
Sometimes that can be hard,
Mhm.
blazing your own, trying to figure out your own path. Absolutely. So, Dallin, is there anything else you would like to share about preparing for adulthood and your experience? Because you are the oldest of this little bunch.
Yeah, don't worry. To avoid going into a long 3-hour spiel, being an adult sucks. It's not fun. It's not easy, but very unprofessional. I apologize, but it's hard. It is. It's not easy to do. Like I was saying earlier, times have changed from the 80s and 90s to what we're dealing with now. It's a completely different world, completely different work world. Everything that you're doing now in life is, as an adult, is going to be difficult. There are some stuff that will be easy. It's not all difficult, thankfully. But you've got to be able to stick through that tough stuff to get to the end goal, and that's the hardest part. But once you're done with that, it's all uphill from there. Down either way. You know what I mean? Smooth sailing.
I love that you guys are using idioms. Is that the right word? I don't know.
Metaphors?
Metaphors. Thank you. Yes. I love that you guys are using metaphors because that's real life. So that's great. Porter, last but not least, young man, is there anything else that you would like to share about preparing for adulthood and your experience?
I'd say right now, it It is true. It's not really that easy, but once you find the right job that'll help prepare, like if you get married, have kids, that'll have like benefits that can help with all that. It definitely is kind of hard to find the right job.
Thank you. I am so proud of you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for taking your time and sharing your real lives with us. I know it's hard. I know that you guys are introverts and that you don't like to do things, especially in public. So from this mama's heart, and I know Jenny feels the same way, we know how hard it is for you guys to be public like this. And so thank you. Thank you for all of what you guys do and what you did for us. And I'm going to turn the time back over to Miss Jenny and she'll end us out today.
Yes, thank you. I echo everything Sarah said. I'm going to first of all launch this poll, and if you, as our panel, or not our panel, but our guests, could please rate the session tonight. It really helps us with preparing for our conference next year on what we can do better. And we would love your feedback, what you liked, what you didn't like. And I also wanted to thank this panel. I've been able to work with them for a few months with different conferences that we've done this. And then they also presented at the Utah State Board of Education Transition Conference and presented to over probably 100 people in that room. And so we're just very proud of them and them being vulnerable enough to share. And I know that you all appreciated this as well. We just want to thank Sarah for her time in facilitating this class and her expertise and her compassion and the way that she runs not only this group, but also our youth advisory board. And I wanted to give a shout out tonight. If any of you have youth in your lives that are between the ages of 14 to 22, 24, somewhere in there, and they would like to participate in our youth advisory board, it's a great opportunity for leadership. Everyone has a role on the advisory board. The Utah Parent Center puts our curriculum before the advisory board and asks for their input. They tell us what they like, what they don't like. So please remember us if you have a youth or if you're a youth yourself and want to be part of the advisory board, we'd love to have you. Just reach out to the Utah Parent Center and we can get you more information. So we have about 8 minutes left. Is there anybody that you can come off camera and unmute yourself? Do you have any questions that you have for this group or that you would want more information about?
Hi, Lisa Wade. I am a parent, but I also work at the Division of Services for People with Disabilities and help people find employment. So I was curious, many of you mentioned working and jobs. What can we do to help other young adults look into working after they finish school? What encouraged you to want to have a job, I guess is my question.
Just another company, I guess.
Anybody want to take that?
I think something that really kind of helped me was one, I have a very like supportive family and supportive parents, and they, like we'll come to them and we'll just be like, I kind of want to do this, and they'll be like, sure, whatever you want, like and I had known since I was very young that I wanted to work in medical type things because I've always found that very interesting. And then I as I got older, I realized that I would really like to work with animals as well. And so I was like, I think being a vet would be really cool, but I don't want to just, like be a vet that just does like cats and dogs and stuff. Like I want to be able to like do all kinds of different animals. I want to know as much as possible to help as many animals and their owners as possible. And like I would tell my parents about it, and they were like, yeah, go for it. And they helped me sort of advocate for myself um, to talk to my school about uh, sort of figuring out what that path might look like. And that's kind of how I got the job that I have now. I'm not quite where I am like wanting to be, but I feel like I have, plenty of time, and it's a good place for me to start. Because I get to work with dogs all day, and I'm also now certified in pet first aid, so dogs and cats. I know how to administer first aid.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Thanks, Molly. That's awesome. We have another question. Did any of you utilize vocational rehabilitation? And if so, what was your experience like with VR?
I don't think so.
So Northeastern Services.
Okay.
So little backstory. I used Voc Rehab once. To this day, I still don't know what the cause was for it, other than to, I guess, supervise what I did at work. Um, Other than that, I didn't really interact with Voc Rehab at all. I bounced around jobs for a long time, until something in my head clicked and decided that I don't need to jump jobs every 3 months. Um, but to be honest with you, I don't even know the full purpose of Voc Rehab. And I know that's not something that you guys would like to hear, but it's not meant for everybody, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. Not everybody needs to use it. So it's nice to have it if you need it, for what reasons they have, I'm sure, but I don't see a purpose for me to use it at all.
And I think you bring up a really good point. And that's one thing that the Utah Parent Center is trying to do. We're building our relationship that we've had for many years with vocational rehabilitation, and partnering together with some of their leaders. And so we just are releasing a new video that they created, and new information that can be distributed with school districts so that families can understand vocational rehabilitation more and actually use it in the way it's meant to be. I've talked about how sometimes I feel like the water's not getting to the end of the row. VR's doing their part, and all of the partners are doing their part, but somehow it's just not making it to individuals with disability and their families, and they're not totally understanding how it's supposed to work, or maybe they're not utilizing all of the services they're able to utilize, and they don't even realize what's available, like VR helping them with school or something like that, or a trade school. So yes, great question. Well, we are out of time tonight. We've hit our 8 o'clock hour. But I just truly want to thank each and every one of you for participating. If there's something that we did not cover tonight that you have a question about, that you would like more information, please call the Utah Parent Center tomorrow, and you can ask to speak with either myself, Jenny Dopp, or Sarah Olson. We are the transition team at the UPC, and we would love to help you. In the chat earlier in the night, I put several resources that can help you with transition. So if you would like that information or hard copies of those books, please reach out to us. Unless there's anything else tonight, we'll go ahead and end. Any last parting thoughts?
Thank you, Porter and Jerem and Molly and Dallin. You guys rocked it. I really appreciate it very, very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. Well, everyone have a good night. And again, if you want to attend tomorrow night's sessions of Family Links, please go on our website. I put that link in the chat, and you can register for tomorrow night's sessions. All right. Thank you so much. Bye.